What's up, loves? Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Tiffany T. If you are new here, a super welcome to you. You guys, we are here with the very first video in our 53-week journey of understanding God and Jesus. I am so glad that you are here. I'm so glad that you chimed in wherever it is that you came from. I am 100% certain that God is going to answer some questions that you may have. And so I'm really excited for us to dive into it. So a couple things to share. I'm going to be releasing a video, obviously, every week, and everything is going to be based on the Bible. I am going to share a couple of experiences just to try to make it relatable, but I'm telling you something, the Lord's word is relatable and it is very understandable. So I'm going to do my best not to give too many opinions, but I did want to just kind of let you guys know, for the sake of that relatability, I will be sharing a few testimonies and a little bit of my story as well. But we are mainly going to be focused on the Bible to understand God and Jesus. Also, quarterly, I'm going to go live on my YouTube channel. This will be the opportunity for you guys to tap in. I'm just going to kind of talk and go over what we've learned for that quarter. And I want you to also be able to ask your questions. In the meantime, if you have questions before that, you always can feel free to comment directly on the video, or if you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you can DM, you can inbox me. We can definitely do that. But this is a journey for us together, because what's so amazing is I understand God and I understand Jesus. I understand who they are, and it has gotten me here, but there's still so much more to learn and to know. So I also want to say to you that I'm not here as this expert. I'm here as someone who understands, and I want to give the understanding that I've received through Holy Spirit, but I'm also growing with you as well. So let's dive right in. Y'all, today we are going to start at the very basic and beginning, a place that I feel like, even if you're not in church, if you've never gone to church, of course, if you're in church, if you've been to church before, every single person, even the atheists, have heard this before. And it is Genesis 1:1. I am going to start right there in this first unfolding of us understanding God and Jesus. So Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." So something that I do when I'm studying the word is that I like to use this study tool called eSword, because for those of you who don't know, the Bible was written in Greek and Hebrew. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew, the New Testament in Greek. So of course, the words have been translated for English understanding. So when I'm reading and I'm studying, I love to go directly to the passage that I'm reading in the Bible and go in to see what these words mean in Greek and Hebrew, because a lot of times our understanding may be lost, or it may be lacking, or the depth may not be there because of the translation and us not really getting the full depth and understanding of what this particular thing means. And I never want to assume. Let me tell you that if you're learning God and you're wanting to grow in God, grow in the things of God, and really grow in His word, never assume. Always go in further and study and research. So in the beginning, right? And I love it because literally when I come here and I look, this says in the beginning, and this Hebrew word for beginning is reshith, okay? And this means a couple things, but it says the first, in place, time, order or rank, chief, or again, first, or the principal thing. And the other word that I wanted to look up was the word created. And this word means to cut down, to select, to feed, or to choose. It also means to dispatch. I love that because y'all know dispatch means they're like sending out. So if we break this down, it says again, in the beginning. So we can literally see this as the very first or at the start of time. Time didn't start and then there was God. God started time. It says at the start of time, God, and we go back to what these words create mean. So I would say I'll use dispatch. I'll use choose, even select. So at the start of time, God chose the heaven and the earth. Or at the start of time, God selected the heaven and the earth. At the start of time, God chose, he dispatched the heaven and the earth. So the very first thing that I want to bring out to you in understanding God and Jesus, because again, we've heard this, but now that we are going on this journey, we're going to make sure this stuff is in our heart in the way that we can live it out. God is not just the God of Christians. He's not just the God of what man may be saying and how people have, I would say, kind of minimized the understanding for our understanding. God is literally the creator of this universe, this very earth that you live in. The only reason that earth is moving how it is, the only reason that heaven is there and the earth is here, that the waters are where they are and have their boundaries, is because God set them in place. The reason that I think it's so important for us to really have this understanding at the beginning is because you have so many people that want to pray to a universe. You have so many people that in finding comfort, or even if it was culturally the way that they grew up, they're living in a religion where they honor a God that came later down the line. Their God was not from the beginning. So what I want us to understand first and foremost, that this is not some little God that man has boxed in. Even if church has caused you to see God and see Jesus in this box and in this narrow way, I want you to break out of that. I want your mind to break out of that. All of this is surrounded by God. It is not surrounding him. The earth does not surround the Lord. He is surrounding it. He is keeping it together. He set it forth and called it to be in its place. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So in the very beginning of our journey in understanding who God is, understand that he started time. He is the first. When it talks about, it said in the beginning, it says order or rank, right? So if you rank, you may be 12th in your class or 5th in your class, or you may be first because you got the highest score. God ranks high. He ranks first because he started all of this. So wherever your mind was before this moment regarding God, again, even some of us who are in relationship with him and we go to church, man has minimized a lot of things for the sake of giving us comfort. We want to, when it comes to knowing and it comes to we come to understanding, which you should get understanding. Sometimes we have to minimize that thing so that we can feel comfortable. We can feel that it's acceptable, because sometimes when a thing feels too big, it feels so much bigger than you, you feel inferior. You don't want to accept it, but we have to humble ourselves and understand that at the start of time, God selected the heaven and the earth. This universe bows to God. So if you've been one who you've been summoning the universe and you've been calling and asking the universe to do things for you, I need you to understand that the universe bows to God. Now, the crazy thing is, this passage goes on to declare more of the things that the Lord called forth. And he actually did call the universe to bow to us. I'll read a little bit more, or I'll just kind of go through and read. I want you to stay with me. If you're serious about this journey, you can even grab your Bibles to follow along. I'm reading from the New American Standard. So it says, the earth was formless and void, and darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. So again, the Spirit of God, his very nature, who he is, was hovering and moving over the waters. Then God said, let there be light. And there was light. So again, God started and he started creating. So I'll tell you that, number one, God is he started time. He created this earth. He started the universe, right? So not only is he God over this entire universe and holding it together, but God is a creator. He created all of this. God said, let there be light, and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening and there was morning one day. Pause. God created the day. Oh my God. This is good. He's speaking to me. I didn't even have that part. God created the day. Why is that important? Because throughout your life, as you are going through and you're dealing with people, you're dealing with situations, you're dealing with yourself, you're dealing with growth, you're just dealing with this world and issues in your day. Who do you call on but the one that created that day? In your day, who do you look to but the one who said, let there be? The reason there is an evening, the reason that there is a morning is because God called it forth. So I want to encourage you, if you are not including God in your day, you are literally ignoring the very person that breathed the essence into the reason why that moment is literally there. And if you're frustrated, he knows how to speak to the universe and call it to align with what he has for you. I need y'all to hear what I just said. If you are not including God in your day, it's literally like if you went to a father, if you're a guy, and you went to a father asking for their daughter's hand in marriage. That father wants to give you tips and ideas, and they want to speak to you to make sure that you're going to take care of the very person that they brought in this world, which they know better than you. They may be able to tell you these are things that make her smile. These are things that make her happy. These are things that make her sad. This is some of the things that we dealt with as she was growing up. So when you're trying to learn and maneuver with this person, with this girl, or even with the guy, if you want to learn that person, who better to go to than the very person that made them? The very person who they came through, which is their parent. Same thing. You can say that day is God's baby. Day is God's child. He created it. He birthed the day. Why continue to go through your day without the very one who birthed the day? He knows what's in store for that day. Ask him. We're trying to network our way through. We're trying to get as much content out as we can to get to this space and that space and this place and that space. And I'm not saying you won't have to do that anymore, because that is your earthly work. But why not go to God and say, Lord, you know this audience better than me. If I'm trying to get paid full-time as a content creator, I'm not going to look at other content creators. I'm going to look at the God who created the very day that every person who is watching what it is that I release, he's the one who created that day. He knows who's alive on that day. He knows what they need on that day. Do you understand the power of what I am saying to you about this God that we serve? Get him out of the box. He is a creator, and he created the day. Then God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. God made the expanse and separated the waters which were below the expanse from the waters which were above the expanse, and it was so. God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. Then God said, let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear, and it was so. So I want you to just hear, right? So all these things that you are seeing, land, while we get to buy land, God created the land. He's big. He's so big. You get to buy real estate, but the Lord created the land that you build on. The waters with its very boundaries. God created the boundaries. Do you understand that? God called the expanse heaven. Okay, so then I'm on verse 9 now. Then God said, let the waters below the heavens be gathered into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. God called the dry land earth. That is where we live. God created the earth. So verse 10, God called the dry land earth, and the gathering of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees on the earth bearing fruit after their kind with seed in them. And it was so. Man did not bring forth these trees. Can we plant today? Have people planted, and those are the things that we're seeing? Yes. But God started the very idea and the very first activity and creation of vegetation. The Lord started that. Are you seeing who God is and how big he is? He started this. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed after their kind, and trees bearing fruit with seed in them after their kind. And God saw that it was good. There was evening and there was morning, a third day. Then God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the expanse of the earth, of the heavens, to give light on the earth. And it was so. God could shut it all down today, but he allows the sun to rise every single morning. God made the two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He made the stars also. This is about to make me go somewhere else. God gives light to govern your night. Even when you're in your darkest place, he will always send light. I love it. God placed them, he made the stars also. So verse 17, God placed them in the expanse of the heavens to give light on the earth, and to govern the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. So verse 19, there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day. Then God said, let the waters teem with swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens. Who did you think brought forth the animals? How did you think they got here? They had to have a beginning. They had to have a creator. Somebody had to give birth. They give birth. So there had to be birth for them to come through. It was God who birthed the animals and the start of those creatures. And let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the heavens. God created the great sea monsters and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarmed after their kind, and every winged bird after its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth. There was evening and there was morning, a fifth day. Then God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after their kind, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth after their kind. And it was so. I want you guys to hear things like beasts and sea monsters. Keep that in mind as we're reading. So God made the beasts of the earth after their kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creeps on the ground after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the sky, and over the cattle, over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. I'm going to have to talk about his creation of man on a separate video. But what I need you to hear, and how I want to end out this video, is that God's original plan and intent as he created the earth, as he created the heaven, as he gathered the sea together, as he set forth darkness and set forth light, he created these animals, he created vegetation, and then he created man to rule over all of these animals. He created man, he created us, he created you to rule over everything that creeps on the earth. Now, as we know today, we fear animals. We're not chilling with animals. We're not sitting around saying, here, lion, 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 here, little bear, come hang out with me. Because there was some disconnection with man and their obedience, which we'll get into a little bit later. But God, okay, I need you to understand, because again, life in this world and man beginning to talk and more opinions and more translations, we get farther and farther away from who God is. Because the Bible also tells us that he's the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. So I believe that there is a place in our lives, if we get back to God and back to his intention, that we will still, because of his restoration for us, he restored the plan. We could get back to ruling over everything that creeps on this earth. So today in our introductory video, I want you to understand that God started time. God creates. He is a creator. That God made the day. When we wake up, it is a day. We live in a day. And God is the creator of it. I don't know about y'all, but that thing is actually sitting in my heart in a way that I need to engage that more day to day. You are the creator of this day. Also, God created the vegetation. He started the cycle of that. He put seed in it. And later you guys will see about how he called us to cultivate, to continue on in the cycle of the vegetation, but he started it. And he also birthed the animals. So if this is your first time hearing about God, or if this is your 5 millionth time of hearing about God, I need you to understand, settle it in your heart, go back and read the scripture for yourself. I read Genesis 1 through 26. Begin to ask him to help you with your understanding. Because here's the truth of the matter. Like I said, I know that there are atheists, people who believe there is no God. I understand that there are people who have that thought process. And you have to understand that on this journey, when it comes to God and Jesus, although he's the creator of this universe, although he's the one who started time, it is your belief that will help you to make this your lifestyle and to live in this understanding. So I love you guys so much. I am extremely excited about diving into this, because I believe with my whole heart that 2024, our success is going to ride on our spiritual life. Hear what I told you. Our success is going to ride on our spiritual life. In a day, we all have to work. But I encourage you to go to the creator of that day about your work for the day. If you all have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. Again, if you are looking to, maybe it's a personal question, you can inbox me on Facebook or Instagram. I won't be going live until the end of the first quarter, but I want to be here for your questions. Right now, I just come against confusion. God, it is clear that you are the creator of this earth, this universe, the animals, the vegetation, land, the sea, and of us. It all has to bow to you. And so, Lord, as we take this journey to understand you, I thank you that layers of lies and hurt and deception and manipulation is coming off of all of us, because you had beautiful and amazing plans for us in our fellowship when you created us. So much so that everything else bowed to you. And then you called that stuff to bow to us because you saw us as your own. So I love you. I thank you for this time. I thank you for this series. I thank you for your love. In Jesus' most amazing name, amen. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.